because it's such an international phenomenon. I think part of the reason that sports continues to change is that our world is smaller now because streaming services and the boundaries of geography have made it so that you can watch. I know a lot of people who are huge English Premier League
Yeah.
soccer fans,
Yep.
and they'll say, "Who's your favorite team?" And I said, "Tell me who yours is first, and I'll not repeat that name to you because I don't follow it that often."
Right.
But there's a lot of, I mean, it's just become wildly popular here, and that wasn't. I don't think Well, I'll speak for myself. When I was younger, I don't think anybody even knew what the English Premier League was. That were in
No,
my circle
I
of
didn't,
friends.
certainly
Yeah, no.
didn't know. I knew
So
there was international soccer.
yeah,
I lived in New Jersey. We had the Cosmos for a little while.
yeah.
So we had, Franz Beckenbauer come in and Pele come
Pele
in
would
for
come to
his
town. Yeah,
Giorgio Canaglia. Like
yeah.
we had like some international stars that you knew played overseas that were huge stars that were drawing people to New York. And, you always wonder like if you're ahead of the curve of some of these things, and you're seeing
Right.
that, you know, people are, I think, like you said, the streaming services have changed the landscape of the ability to, have money to promote these things.
We can watch from being out to dinner.
Well,
If you're with your wife, it's not a great idea to be doing that, but
it's funny. I go out to dinner with my father-in-law, and half the time he and I are watching
yeah,
TV.
yeah.
We're watching some
You're
tape.
watching on your phone something that's happening, right?
Right, right,
Because you
right.
can do that, and so that makes the landscape of sports, I think, different.
Hmm,
30 years ago, that or 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case.
right,
And so now we have, you know, not just with Ken Griffin and Citadel and some of the others, but there's a lot of money and institutional money coming into town. And so when you have it in your own community, it rises the tide for everybody.
right.
So I think it's interesting right now. If you're in South Florida, I think whether it's technology or business services, there's some opportunities to grow your business here. When we were building PRC back in the 80s and 90s, there wasn't that many companies.
Right,
The big You would know who they were outside of
right,
the cruise industry, right? You had Burger King, and you had a couple of companies that were based down here,
right.
Ryder,
Wayne,
yeah, and then Wayne came along and was building,
here's
AutoNation
Alamo, and a
and
couple.
Mike Egan and Alamo. And
Yep.
there wasn't that. I mean, relatively speaking, for a big metropolitan area, which this
It
MSA
was.
is, um, there wasn't that many big companies here.
No,
So
I always said that to people who are immigrating down here back at that time, there just wasn't a lot of $100,000 jobs. I
right,
mean, you either worked in healthcare or you tried to work for one of the big
right.
firms, but other than that, there wasn't like this business community.